Hi, everybody. Brendan Murphy here. Once again, joined by Fletcher Williams. Fletcher, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And this week, we are here to talk about the newest episode of The Mandalorian, Chapter 13, The Jedi. So, we both have watched this within like the last hour or two. Fletch, how do you feel about this episode?
Yeah, so I literally just watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I'm still kind of collecting my thoughts on it. Overall, though, my initial reaction is that I think this is one of the best episodes of the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the best one I've seen so far this season, and this has been a good season so far. But
For sure.
this one just gave me all the stuff I love about Mandalorian. It felt like it felt like a Kurosawa montage a little bit, and
A little bit.
when I love the show is when it gets into the old samurai, ancient warriors kind of lore kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like seeing that the duel between Ahsoka and the magistrate was just amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just I feel like it had a lot of substance to it. Like we got to learn a lot more about Baby Yoda
Mm-hmm.
and what
Well, he's not Baby Yoda no more. He's Grogu.
Yeah,
Grogu,
Grogu.
baby.
Interesting name.
It's an interesting, I'm just because it's with any Star Wars name of anything, whether it's a ship, a person, a planet. I just still am like, where do they come up with this stuff? It all works. I love that his name is Grogu. That's perfect for a Yoda type character. I
Mhm.
just where do you get because you think about that story of how the way they came up with the design for the Millennium Falcon is just they are at lunch, somebody took a bite out of a cheeseburger, and George Lucas was just like, so that's the ship we're gonna make. So
I've
I
never
just
actually heard that.
yeah, apparently that's the story. It's just they was just they were at lunch, someone was eating a cheeseburger. It might not have been Lucas himself, but someone was just like, what if we turned that into a spaceship? And that's the Millennium Falcon. That's why there's the bite in the middle.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it's so I'm trying to think of what did Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, what was going on in their heads to be like, Grogu, that's our guy, that's our name, the cultural phenomenon, formerly known as Baby Yoda, now Grogu. Very
Mhm.
excited. But yeah, I kind of agree with you for most part. I think it was a pretty good episode of the show. I feel like this is much more substance than we've been getting in the last couple episodes. Most of these episodes have been Western samurai movies where it's just this person walks into town, there's a problem, and by the end of the episode, he is going to solve it, which is great.
Yeah.
Been awesome. Some of my favorite episodes have been from this season so far. And I don't think I can really, you can't say anything, different about this one. This is what we've been waiting for
Yeah.
the last year or so. Once, I forget what they call the character exactly, but when Mando was told just, hey, you got to go find the Jedi so that they can train this little kid.
Hmm.
And yeah, done in spectacular fashion. You bring up the Kurosawa, specifically I thought of Yojimbo when she threw the plate out from under her chest and everything. It was just that's
Yeah.
that, her walking up through the town, facing all those guards and everything like that. It was, yeah, most of the show, most of its influences, Kurosawa all the way. I mean, it's just this episode has two colors in its palette. It is black and very, 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 very dark green.
It is, yeah.
So it feels a little black and white for most of it, which
Mhm.
worked. A little too dark. I had a little flashback to Battle of Winterfell. Just I can't see a good amount of this.
Yeah. That's the thing with Mando, I think, is I love the show as a whole, but the cinematography is kind of ugly most of the time.
Yeah. And I think the fact that Filoni comes from an animation background, he's not the most, I don't want to say not intelligent, but he's not as proficient in lighting a scene in the same way as someone like Favreau maybe. or even just Bryce Dallas Howard or something like that. But I mean, the stuff with the lightsabers at the beginning, where that's your light source, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty great. That was fun. Which I guess that can kind of lead us into the big revelation of this episode. Well, not even revelation, but just the big thing that everyone's been talking about. Everyone's been going crazy. Like, Ahsoka Tano live action is here. It's arrived.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
So I am not the most well-versed in Ahsoka Tano and her whole story and the lore surrounding her. I was on Twitter earlier. I saw all these people talking about all these different things that relate to Ahsoka and what this episode means for those people who know so much about her. And I'm just kind of like, cool, okay. You're talking about Rebels and Clone Wars, which are stuff, like, I've watched some. I just haven't watched all the way through. So, Fletcher, as someone who has watched a little more than I have, how did you feel about the translation from animation to live action and from those shows to this show? Like, how do you think they did?
I think initially, like, I didn't know if I was totally into the idea of, like, you know, seeing the character from animation to live action.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think Rosario Dawson did, like, she was just a perfect fit for
Mm-hmm.
the character. Like, just the physicality and, like, her voice even sounded like her. Like, as she, I mean, this is like a new kind of era for the character.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen her like younger in Clone Wars and then in Rebels, but
Mm-hmm.
now she's like much older, and it felt like that character had naturally progressed, and then like this is like it actually felt like I was seeing the character that I had seen on those other shows. And what I will say is that it was really cool to see, like before this season of Mandalorian, the last big Star Wars thing that we got was the final season of Clone Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and there's they didn't really reference like a lot of what happened in that last season in this episode or anything, but like she did talk about a little bit like how she saw a Jedi Knight at one point, you know, be consumed by anger, and
Mm-hmm.
you do get hints of that in the last season of Clone Wars because it takes place like during Revenge of the Sith, and so Ahsoka, who was training under Anakin, saw him, you know, turn to the dark side, and so she's seen how all that power and all that rage can consume a Jedi. So like that's why she was hesitant about training Baby Yoda or Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting. I like the little like tidbits of information that you got from past seasons. She also mentioned that she like that she knew Yoda, or that she knew like another creature that was like Grogu and
Mm-hmm.
being like Master Yoda from. So that was cool, like to see that those references from her time on the Clone Wars show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, like I think they did a really good job at recreating that character and bringing her into live action, because that's like a really hard thing to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're so used to seeing, you know, a 2D or a 3D animated character and then bring them into live
Mm-hmm.
action. And I don't think that's been done a lot before, at least successfully. But I
Mm-hmm.
thought they did a pretty good job. And Rosario Dawson was a really good fit.
Yeah. And I mean, especially the fact you have to take a character who has mostly been animated, and an animated show like that. Now, once again, I have not watched all of Rebels and Clone Wars. I could be completely off base. I've just seen like a good bit of the first season of Clone Wars and a good bit of the first season of Rebels. So I didn't even really see Ahsoka on Rebels at all. But like that tone shift of like a cartoon and like hearing the dialogue that Ahsoka Tano speaks in like the cartoon and the way she speaks in that show, and then having to do a live action version in a show that's can get pretty dark at points. Like, let's not forget, like, they vaporize people in this show. Like, we can't forget this. It's a much darker, much more violent, much more, like, I guess, grounded look at the Star Wars universe. And so to see how they kind of brought her personality into this universe, in this time era, in this story, was a little, because here's the thing for me. I get why Ahsoka Tano is as huge as she is. I get like why that character resonates for so many people. But I'm worried for someone who isn't as into Star Wars, like a casual fan who has like seen all the movies, But since Disney Plus has come around and there's a live action Star Wars show, they're watching it. Because for me, I did not get a huge effect from seeing Ahsoka on screen, like live action. I thought it was cool. And I know it's cool for a lot of people who do love this character so much, because you see her, like, so much fan art, so many people cosplay as her in these big conventions. And I feel like she's become this hugely beloved character within the fandom. I don't think it necessarily translated in this episode as much. Now, I think that might just be how the Mandalorian operates, because it's not this super flashy, like super lore, like, oh my God, the Jedi are here, like kind of show. I think it's very matter of fact in a lot of ways about that kind of stuff, which, I don't know, it's this weird kind of thing. I don't know how I feel about it. I hope I get to see more of her in the show, just so I can maybe find out more about, or maybe I should just watch Clone Wars and Rebels, but find out more about who Ahsoka is, why specifically they chose to bring her in here. Because now we know that this is 5 years after the Empire has fallen. We don't know exactly how many Jedi are out there, how many survived the Purge, anything like that.
Yeah.
Why specifically we brought Ahsoka in instead of maybe doing just a new character, a new Jedi, or something like that. So hopefully we get a little more of her. I mean, if it operates in the same way that the first season operated, we'll maybe get a little more of Ahsoka the last episode or two, which I would like to see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So I don't know. I think Rosario Dawson was good. I thought the lightsaber fight at the end was pretty cool to see, like, one of those fights without just like two lightsabers, like seeing that Beskar steel can go up against the lightsaber. That's a cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and seeing that kind of stuff was really cool. It just, it didn't necessarily land all the way for me, but I hope to see more, and I am open to more from that character and that story.
Well, I think also you kind of do have to have that, like, built up emotional connection to that character. So, like, if you had seen Clone Wars, and I mean, I didn't watch all of Rebels, but Clone Wars is really like her show. Her dynamic with Anakin, like, that's the relationship that's really fleshed out throughout the course of that show. And so, like, if you had seen the majority of that and then gone into this, it might have been cooler for you. It's kind of like watching, like, Infinity War and Endgame without having seen, like, the other Marvel movies. Like, it just doesn't have the same effect.
No, 100%.
But I think, you know, we can both agree that she was pretty freaking badass in, like,
she was.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's that thing why it's kind of a bummer that the, like, color palette was so dark.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see more of it. Which what we got was great. And, you know, it's that thing where I don't know about that much of, like, the more extended stuff, but, like, the white lightsaber was cool. Like, I'd never seen that really. So that was fun for me to, like, kind of experience for the first time, and see it used in that way was really cool. I don't know. I'm not sure if Filoni was the right person to direct this episode specifically. Like, obviously, he should direct some episodes. He's one of the creators. He should have some episodes he directs. Maybe we should have had Favreau come in for this one, is maybe my opinion. But
well, that's funny that you say that, because I actually thought, like, he did a really good job on this. And by the end of the episode, I was expecting, because from what I've heard, I know Robert Rodriguez is directing one of the episodes of this season. And I thought that this episode was from him, just because, like, how like, the way the action looked and the way, you know, it just felt like it was made by a seasoned director. And then I saw it was Dave Filoni, and I was like, oh my God, because he's only done, like, a couple episodes before this, and I thought he kind of, since, you know, he doesn't have that much of a background in live action, like, the very first episode, I'm pretty sure he directed, and it was just kind of, like, rough. Like, some of the beats just didn't line up, and it was just, things were just some kind of, like, obviously he was still grappling with the transition from animation to live action, but I thought he did a really good job here, and I was surprised at how, like, you know, just the style of the episode and, like, the way the action looked and everything. I thought this is the best work that I've seen from him yet.
I would agree with that for sure. Because you look back at those first season Mandalorian episodes that he directed, and you're right, they are a little, not necessarily, they're just almost there. just almost there. He's just missing a couple things. I think this is definitely where he feels the most locked into it. It's just a couple decisions he makes here and there that I'm kind of a little iffy on.
Yeah, I get that.
Because, like, I'm going to keep harping on it just because, like, it really got me. I wish the action was a little bit better. I know some people have loved the action. I know you just said you love the action. I think what I'm able to see is cool. I feel like I'm missing something from it still. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad he's got the basics down as far as blocking, lighting, cinematography. Like, he's getting all that, like, basic stuff, foundation set in place. I think he still needs to, like, find his voice to really, like, bring, like, what does Dave Filoni as a director bring to the table? Mm-hmm. Because I felt it's, like I said, it's lacking a little something for me still.
Yeah.
But that is nice to know we still got the Robert Rodriguez episode on the horizon, because that thing is going to look insane. Because
that'll be cool.
We got 3 episodes left, right? I would have.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine, because Favreau directed the last finale, right? Or was it Filoni?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't know.
Gotcha. So I would feel like that'd be something like, okay, it's the finale of the series of the season. Like, we're gonna bring in Favreau. Like, that's our guy for the episode.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So you would guess in like the next 2 episodes we get Rodriguez, and maybe next episode, because Robert Rodriguez, that man is gonna put crazy stuff in whatever episode he's in. That's what excites me most about him. Because I couldn't have imagined Robert Rodriguez directing this one, because it's just a little too, like, it's not insane enough. Because you look at that man's work, like, the last movie he directed was, isn't he, like, he's directing a new, like, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I think is the next thing he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, and Alita Battle Angel is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, this is the guy who directed, like, all the Spy Kids and, like, oh my gosh. So I am excited to see what he's going to bring to the table, because obviously it's a show that lets its directors, like, run away to an extent with what they want to do. But, like, how much control is Robert Rodriguez going to have as far as, I'm going to do the craziest shit you've ever seen in a Star Wars thing?
I would like to see that, definitely.
Very excited, because it's going to be super, like, because I think he's going to be the guy who, like, super leans into the Western aspect of it, because that's his thing. He always has. So he's going to do more of that, like, gunslinging, all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we can go into the plot of the episode a little bit. There's so the setup is there's this little town out in, I think the planet is called Corvus, I think?
Yes.
Corvus, which is a forest planet. There's this little town that is run by this magistrate who is played by, let me check the name real quick, Diana Lee Inosanto, I think is her name, and who does, like, pretty good job. Like, she's good. See, what surprised me, I did not recognize him when I saw him the whole episode, but, like, Michael Biehn is the lackey in this episode. I was like, what?
I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god, Hicks himself? Let's go. I'm ready. I was so happy to see that he was like Kyle Reese. Like, I love Michael Biehn. I feel like we don't see a ton of them these days. So I was super happy to know that, like, because he does, like, a pretty good job. Like, his little showdown with Mando towards the end was really fun. But yeah, just it was kind of that same thing I had last week when I saw that Carl Weathers directed the episode. I was like, oh, good for him. I love that. I love seeing these, like, older guys, like, get to play around in this playground a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
I love how Mando just, like, brings these people from, like, other fandoms into Star Wars. Like, we have Apollo Creed, and now he's in Star Wars. We have Kyle Reese now in the Star Wars universe. Like, that's just the coolest, like, random crossover thing.
Rosario's and Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like, you've got, I mean, Jon Favreau, he's got all these fingers in all these different pies. Like, there's no way he's not bringing in everybody. And you got Taika from Marvel. Like, it's still crazy the people they get for this show, honestly. Like, how I'm still able to be surprised each time. Because you look at, like, some of the guest stars from the first season, second season, like, it still feels like people who are still pretty known, or like in the like you get Taika, you get Carl Weathers, you get Gina Carano, who had been like a couple bigger movie, like she had been in her own action movies for a little bit, but then to like really reach back and get like Michael Biehn, like that really excited me. That made me happy to see him here. So yeah, there's this magistrate. She's like not great to the townspeople, and she wants to kill Ahsoka Tano because Ahsoka Tano is trying to mess with her a little bit. Ahsoka Tano's trying to get some info, and so Mando lands on this planet finally, and he goes to the magistrate, and magistrate is like, "Yo, we need you to take care of this Jedi problem." And I love a little storytelling like that, like little irony and everything, where you're like, "Oh, great, that's who I'm looking for. That's awesome. Great, I'm gonna double cross you. This is fun." Like that kind of Western kind of thing. It's great. And we're gonna trade you this Beskar steel for it. This nice, cool Beskar steel spear. It's gonna be fun. Meet some townspeople. They are like hung up right outside the magistrate's place. Super creepy. Like you see torture every now and again in the Star Wars universe, but I feel like this by far looks like the worst one.
Yeah.
It's basically like in those older pirate movies and like Pirates of the Caribbean, where you see them hanging in those things and they got like spikes all over the place so you can't move, but it's just electricity coursing through your veins the whole time. Sounds awful.
That was like it reminded me of the in War for the Planet of the Apes, where they like the compound that they're in, like they put all the apes up on, they just hang them up on wooden things.
Yeah,
a little bit. Kind of gives that vibe. For
sure. So Mando, he finds Ahsoka. They have a nice little like 30-second fight. Mando tells her that I always fuck it up, whether it's Bo-Katan or Bo-Katan. I think it's Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah.
That she sent him, and that I got a little baby Yoda. And she's like, "Oh, that looks like a Yoda over there. What's going on? We got to talk about this. What's going on here?" And we get like a little nice Ahsoka and Baby Yoda action. And I was hoping we'd get like a little bit more out of that like she can read his mind a little bit. Like I would have liked to have like seen her like look at the Mandalorian like, "Oh, so you did this and that in protection of this child," and like stuff like that. Like I think that would have been like a fun thing to see.
Yeah,
but cool. Also, I think the best part about the Mandalorian as a character is that no one who knows him really knows him that much. Like even the other Mandalorians that he was hooked up with in the first season were just like, yeah, he just like kind of hangs around. We don't know too much about him. So it's kind of cool that Ahsoka is still going to fall into that category. She's not playing those mind tricks or anything like that where she knows everything about him or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we get to really see how much of an influence that the Mando has over Baby Yoda, just because of the fact that he won't do anything that Ahsoka tells him to do, but the second Mando comes out with his little metal ball from the first season that he just can't get enough of. Yeah. Immediately, like he snaps up like, "Oh, give me that." See, I feel like he just needs to be holding a pack of blue Oreos all the time from now on. Which, if Oreo is not getting on selling the Mandalorian blue Oreos, like they need to get on that stat.
Yeah, I think it's Williams Sonoma is the brand that has the actual like Mandalorian macaroons that they're selling right now.
They have the Mandalorian macaroons?
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere recently. They're called Navarro Nummies.
I might need to get some. That might need to be something that happens.
Look pretty good. Oh, yeah.
Just, you got it. Like, for the finale, like, that's a good thing to be like, I got my, what is it, Navarro Nummies is what they're
Navarro Nummies.
That's great. That's perfect. But then Ahsoka decides, yeah, not going to happen, bud. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Which I think knowing a little bit more about Ahsoka, like hearing maybe a little bit about her relationship with Anakin during this time would have helped a little bit as someone who doesn't know Ahsoka as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're all grown-ups. We all know who Anakin Skywalker is. We all know what happened. So we get where she's coming from. Like, that's the one thing I kind of had a problem with this episode. Like, it felt like, I think what it's doing story-wise is good. I think what it's setting up is pretty good. I just felt like some of the emotion was lacking for me.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like, I just didn't get too much from that aspect of it. Because I think, I don't know, the decision she makes to not train Baby Yoda is a little half-baked. Like, I don't feel like we get a ton of her reasoning and her motivation to do that, just as someone who doesn't know a ton about Ahsoka from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, it's that whole like fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to anger. Yeah, we all watch Phantom Menace. We all know the thing. And then Mando's like, "What are you talking about? Do you know how many adventures I went on to get this little guy here? You're gonna take him. You're gonna train him. How dare you?" So this magistrate lady, she hired me to kill you. So maybe if we like both take care of her, you train the kid. And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Maybe that's what we do. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know." So we have this really nice, fun set piece where they go into town, and they fuck.
Something I wanted to bring up before we get into this is the So I mean, we did learn a little bit more about Baby Yoda and the fact that, or Grogu, I guess, that I'm not gonna remember like everything that Ahsoka said, but when she was like communicating with him, like with her mind, didn't she say that he like trained in a Jedi temple for a while and then he like lost his memory or something?
Yeah, he was at Coruscant specifically.
Yeah, that's what it was. So does that mean Baby Yoda's running around with like a lightsaber or something, or he's just
maybe? I mean, I think that would be adorable to see. It's like just a little lightsaber. They just like that'd be great. It's like the size of a fork or something. That'd be awesome. I would really get a kick out of that. But also, you can't have that because this kid, he plays with everything and sticks everything in his mouth. Yeah. He is dead within 5 minutes of owning a lightsaber.
Bad. Yoda came to an end that way.
Yeah, that'd be terrible, truly. But it is a nice image. We will get that someday, I hope. But yeah, you get a little bit of that. They specifically kind of leave out a little information that someone took him away. Now, I don't know if that's them just like, I don't know, just someone got him out, or if that's them being like, "Oh, well, who got him out? Are we going to have a big reveal like in like a season or two? Like, this person got him out." Like, now, this is some top tier speculation here. There's no way we get this. But like maybe little Obi-Wan Kenobi, little Ewan McGregor, maybe he snuck out little Baby Yoda out into the... I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's no way that happens. But
I don't think so.
I like to think that maybe someday. I really want Ewan McGregor making more Star Wars stuff as Obi-Wan at some point. Okay. And I know there's the show they're making, but like, let's speed that up a little bit. I need some Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan action because they could do like the Force Ghost thing because they're going to some Jedi temple where I'm presuming they're gonna like meet a Force Ghost is what I'm getting. Like something will happen and you will know if he's like ready for training or not. So I'm like, oh, so like a spirit of some sort is gonna like come to them in some way.
That reminds me of Last Airbender stuff, like talking to the Airbenders.
Yeah, which would be dope. I'm down for that. So yeah, maybe we get like maybe actual Yoda, maybe some other kind of Force spirit, whether that's Obi-Wan, Yoda, somebody, I don't know, Mace Windu, that'd be fun. Samuel L. Jackson comes back to the Star Wars universe in Mandalorian season 2, that'd be great.
See, this is what I'm kind of skeptical about though, because like I love how the first season of Mandalorian I really enjoy. It's got some missteps here and there, definitely, but I love how it told a story in the Star Wars universe that was completely like on its own, not really connected to anything. They could have brought Boba Fett back, and I know it looks like they're doing that with this season, but they didn't do that. They had all these opportunities to bring in all these Star Wars characters that we all know, but they didn't do that. They just told their own story with their one singular vision, and it was great. It was just like a really enjoyable fun show.
Yeah.
And now, we're bringing in Ahsoka, maybe Boba Fett, maybe these other characters, which is cool. And I really enjoyed, seeing Ahsoka and how they implemented her in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a little, and Bo-Katan I thought was really cool too. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little skeptical as to, are they just going to turn this into a big product and tell us,
That is a fear for sure. Because you're right. The charm of the show is that listen, we've had enough Jedi stories. We've created people. We've had so many Jedis that we've created over the last year, even though not the last year, but over the course of 10, 20 years, even though Luke is supposed to be the last Jedi or whatever, we still got 20 more that are just out there somewhere.
Yeah.
So you're right. And I think that's why I kind of would have preferred if they created a new Jedi character that they would have met in this episode instead of just Ahsoka Tano, which is fine that she's there. I'm glad she got a live action iteration. I'm psyched for the people who are super happy that Ahsoka Tano is in this episode and everything like that. But yeah, we're getting closer to that. And I hope they know to keep it on the track of, no, this is supposed to be the weird Star Wars show where they're just talking to a giant ant for no reason. That's the stuff I like. I want more of that. And I hope we don't the show takes itself seriously, but not seriously enough where we're treating it and Star Wars like it's a sacred cow, where we're just able to play around in the sandbox more. And I feel like that's maybe why this episode also left me a little cold, because the best episodes for me this season have been the first three, where it's more just them doing crazy, the Marshall episode, and then we have stuff where we meet more Mandalorian and we get to see them work together, take down an Imperial ship. That's more the stuff that I enjoy in my Mandalorian. And the last episode where it was just hey, we're gonna go hang out with Carl Weathers and Gina Carano again, where I was kind of okay, I guess we can do that. That's fine. I'll take that for one episode, but was probably my least favorite episode that I've seen out of the season so far.
Yeah.
And now this episode is not anywhere near that, but it's feeling a little bit I feel like we're getting a little too connected. I feel like we're trying to get back into that bigger Star Wars universe. Well, not even bigger. We're narrowing it back down to, it's about the Jedi, it's about the Force, and this is what Star Wars is. Which I can take in a good amount of doses. I feel like Moff Gideon is always going to be some kind of Force user. We're going to have to deal with that and everything. But I do prefer this kind of adventure of the week kind of style that it has.
I feel the same way. Yeah. I just don't want to get to the point where we have to start reading a spin-off book to understand what's going on in Mandalorian. That's But it seems like Disney, they do a good job of giving. I mean, with the sequel trilogy, it was for better or for worse. But they in Star Wars, they give the creators a lot of creative freedom as to what they want to do. Whereas with Marvel, it seems like they're firing a director every week, with.
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to Feige with the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, but Star Wars, they're able to do a little more they're able to be free with what they do. So I hope that continues throughout the show.
No, for sure, because we know we're too far gone when we've taken Mark Hamill, we've de-aged him, Kurt Russell style in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's when we run into the trouble. We can't be having that. Which they're not going that direction, I don't think. I think that's the extreme, here's where we go wrong. Everyone's mad, Luke Skywalker's in The Mandalorian. That's where we're not looking too great.
Yeah.
But, I hope over the next, because we got 3 more episodes left, I hope we kind of get back to that a little bit more. We had our Ahsoka episode. We had our episode where we brought back our friends from the first season. So, let's kind of get, end strong is kind of, I guess what I'm getting at, is I just want to, because I remember the first season of Mandalorian. I remember the first 5-6 episodes, I was kind of fading in and out, where I was really just kind of am I going to keep watching this? It's short, it's Star Wars, it's kind of fun, but it wasn't really getting me. But once we got to the prisoner on, I was in 110%.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping we get more of that kind of vibe leading into the finale and everything. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else we really need to talk about? I feel like, I mean, we get the lightsaber fight between the magistrate and Ahsoka, which is fun and
Yeah.
good.
I
And
like
we,
how there was that lightsaber duel, which was great, and then on the other side you had Mando and Michael Biehn like
mhm,
having kind of like a Sergio Leone-ish
a
like
little bit.
Mexican standoff kind of thing. So you have like a Kurosawa montage and then a Western montage like on opposite sides of each other. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of neat that they did that.
Even through in the, you and I were not so different, which we got to retire that line. We really do. Every time I see, like, I get it. It's a great trope, everything. We got to stop using that line.
Yeah,
And I'm not trying to be like, we got a new, like, it's just, it's getting old. It's getting
yeah,
old.
yeah,
Um, it's a weird thing for me. It's just one of those tropes. I'm finally like, okay, guys, we got to lay it to rest. We got to find another way to say this or another way to convey this.
yeah.
We get it. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, there's the whole fake out of him like, I'm gonna put my gun down. Oh no, I'm not. Like it's great. It's good Western standoff stuff, which we haven't really seen a ton of in the show. That's so centered around Western and samurai movies, which is what those movies are. Is leading up to the big standoff face off where there's two people standing like 10 feet apart, ready to fight.
Yeah.
So that was fun to finally see. We get a nice little shot of Mando and Baby Yoda in his ship, like getting ready to say goodbye. Which that was if Filoni has learned anything, he's learned to like let it breathe and like give us a shot like that where we can really get a sense of the relationship. Because as much as we know Mando loves Baby Yoda, there's still always that tough exterior of like he's gonna be like the baby. He's like annoying me. He's stubborn. But you get a sweet moment like that, and you're like back into that relationship with those
Yeah,
two.
yeah. Actually, I thought that was pretty emotional. Like
I agree.
like the thought of him, letting go of Baby Yoda. That was, I mean, of course he didn't do that, but
Yeah,
like the thought of him, saying goodbye to him, I actually like felt something when I thought about
yeah.
it.
That's like the one emotional beat of this episode that really got me. Is that
Yeah,
like that was really great. I'll give Filoni all the props for that scene specifically. Like that was good.
Mhm.
And then Ahsoka's like, psych, buddy, I'm not training Baby Yoda. Get out of here. No shot. Just like everyone in this show does. I'm going to have you do something for me, and then I'll immediately just leave you out in the dirt. Just throw you under the bus. I don't give a shit. I'm doing my own thing. Which leads, like we said before, it leads me to question what Ahsoka's larger role in the show is going to be, because I feel like you don't bring her in for one episode. Like they're going to do more with her. I
or
feel
they
like
might be setting off. They might be setting up like another spin-off Ahsoka live action series. Could be.
maybe.
I don't know. Also, there was that big thing where she asked the magistrate during that duel, "Where's your master?" Grand Admiral Thrawn. I don't know if you know anything about that character, but he's kind of a big deal in the
Yeah, I know he's like
lore.
he's a blue guy. He's like blue. He's got like red eyes. I know his look. I don't know exactly like why specifically Ahsoka is like, I need this. I know it had something to do with Ezra, I think.
I
Which
think so. Yeah, I
because
don't
that's
know
what
about the character either, but I know like in
yeah.
the '90s there were the Timothy Zahn novels
Mm-hmm.
that were about Thrawn. It was like a trilogy, and it wasn't canon, or
Mm-hmm.
like Disney when they bought Star Wars, they like struck it down, and
Mm-hmm.
then they made Thrawn canon with a new line of books by Timothy Zahn, the guy who wrote the originals,
Mm-hmm.
and then they brought him into Rebels. So like that's kind of the more recent stuff we've seen of that character. But I haven't like followed him that much, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is just kind of cool that like obviously like he's a big deal for like very obscure Star Wars fans, which I don't know. I think that's cool that they're bringing him into the show,
No.
or maybe they're not bringing him into the show. Maybe they're setting up another series, but I don't know. I just
sure.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like because I was reading off of Twitter and everything like that, because some of that stuff goes over. I know who he is. I know he is a thing in the Star Wars universe, and he was a big bad guy in Rebels. But it's just like a thing where I'm just like, okay, Thrawn. When other people are like, oh my fucking god, it's Thrawn! They're bringing him in, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I think it was something like Ahsoka's looking for Ezra, I think is what it implies, essentially.
Yeah. Which so
Um,
that would build on their, what happened in Rebels, but
which, because probably still not going to watch it, because, like, I got, if I was going to watch it, I would have watched it during the pandemic. I tried, and I didn't go through with it.
yeah.
Like, what is the relationship there between is it like kind of just like they trained a little bit together, or is they like,
I think so. Yeah. Again, like I didn't watch all of the show. I just watched like the first couple seasons, and I know like Ahsoka was like maybe training Ezra, or like they were with each other. There's a big like episode with Darth Maul where they're all fighting him. I think I watched it a while ago, so I'm not gonna totally remember.
Fair. But yeah, so now Mando and little I feel like I'm gonna fuck up the name every time I say it. It's Grogu, right? Or am I wrong? Gorgo.
Grogu.
Grogu. Okay. I misplaced my O and my R. Okay, we're back. That's gonna take some getting used to. It really is.
Yeah,
I know after like one more episode where they keep bringing up the name, it'll be there. But like right now, I'm just like, I feel like one of the like parents who take their kids to Star Wars and they're like, oh, that CP30 guy, or like the RD22, like what's going on? But yeah, so like good thing that would be the episode I feel like Rodriguez maybe comes in with, where he's just like, oh, you're gonna give me a Jedi temple where there's a bunch of Force shit that's gonna go on. Oh, so that's mine. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna like play around with it a lot. Which, once again, I'm there for whatever episode Rodriguez is directing. Like I've come to, I have a lot of respect for him as a director over the last little bit, and it came a lot from another Jon Favreau project. It was the Chef Show. I don't know if you watched Chef Show a good bit, but
I saw
like
the movie, I didn't see the show.
Okay. Super relaxing, super fun show. If you like Favreau and you like that movie and just like watching food shows, like that's such a good one. But like he'll also like he'll bring on directors to like cook food with him and Roy Choi. And one of the episodes is they go to Robert Rodriguez's place and he makes pizza for them. And he talks about his process, like how he came to be a director, how he like made El Mariachi and how he made his like first couple of movies. But like super interesting guy. So if anyone's interested after whenever that episode airs, I would highly recommend watching that episode. I think it's in the first batch of episodes of Chef Show that came out, if you're interested in Robert Rodriguez at all. But yeah, is there I feel like we've covered most everything. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Well, since you just recommended something, I'm going to say that the last 4 episodes of the last season of Clone Wars, an absolute must-watch for any Star Wars fan. So you haven't seen it, right?
I have not. I know, there's a big showdown between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, right? I know that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Some of the best Star Wars stuff of the last few years, no doubt.
See, you were telling me before, like, how your process. Do I need to watch all of Clone Wars to watch that last season? Or, like, can you send me that?
You can skip around. It's kind of like.
Yeah.
It's kind of a low commitment show, honestly. Like, you can just find, like.
That's what
That's what I did. I found, like, a graphic that shows you all, like, the best arcs and all the best, like, story pieces to watch. And I just watched those episodes. I didn't watch, like, all of them. And then the last season, you really just need to watch those last 4 episodes. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, maybe I give that a shot. Because, like, that's the thing, too. It's like, when it feels low commitment, I feel like I don't have to commit, so I don't watch the whole thing. Like, oh, I'll just watch a few episodes here and there. And I'd maybe watch, like, half of the first season, something like that, which I really enjoyed. Like, I don't want to short sell the show. Like, I think it's super fun. I think it absolutely nails what a Star Wars cartoon should kind of be. Just, like, hopping around, having these fun little adventures. Like, I feel like there are few things where I see Yoda where I feel like they actually get the character right. Going back to that Empire Strikes Back Yoda. Like, I think prequel Yoda is fine, but he doesn't really... The thing that I love about Empire Strikes Back Yoda is that he's nuts. He's crazy. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Uh-huh. And I feel like there's one of those first episodes I watched where I just like, oh, that's him. That's Yoda. That's the guy I remember from, like, the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. It's like that, those Clone Wars episodes and Last Jedi are, like, what I imagine Yoda as being, really. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe I just, I'll find some. I'll watch those last 4 episodes of Clone Wars at some point. It's so much. It really is.
Yeah, it's a lot to sit down and watch the whole show like that.
But someday, because I mean, if anything, Mandalorian is like making me interested in like seeing what Filoni did with those shows because I feel like if anyone like has the keys to the castle at this point, I feel like it's him. I feel like he is the closest person to Star Wars. Like I feel like it's George Lucas and then Dave Filoni right under him. I feel like that's kind of the gatekeepers to like kind of what Star Wars is and like who defines what it is like moving forward.
Yeah.
Obviously Kathleen Kennedy is the executive producer, but I feel like she's kind of the person who's like, yeah, we're going to hire this person. We're going to let them like run around, do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
So, which is why I feel like this era of Star Wars is good. Like as much as I hate Rise of Skywalker, like, and like some of the efforts I'm not as hot on, I feel like you will get an artist who comes in and is like, here's what I want to do with Star Wars. Cause I know me and you personally are both huge fans of Last Jedi.
Yep.
And the fact they let Rian Johnson make that movie and just how it exists is kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
And same with Mandalorian, just like, yeah, they're letting him do whatever they want with the show, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, any final thoughts?
Well, now that you mention it, part of what I love about Last Jedi and why I think it like stands out as much as or like the most in the sequel trilogy is because like Rian Johnson there's so much creative voice in that movie and like it just has the most artistic like vision out of those 3, I think, in the trilogy. And that's part of what I really like about The Mandalorian is they kind of just let their directors like do whatever they want. So that's pretty much what I've been seeing this season. So I hope that continues until the last one.
No, for sure. I mean, what I feel makes Rian Johnson's like perspective on Star Wars, I feel like people leveled this against him in a very unfair way. Like they said that he didn't understand Star Wars. I think that's a ridiculous claim. I feel like he just made a different kind of Star. Like people were so like all they asked for was a different Star Wars movie leading up to The Last Jedi. They were so mad about Force Awakens, like, oh, it's just New Hope. Why did you do that? Like, And then Rian Johnson finally was like, okay, I'm going to take everything in Star Wars and do something different with it. I'm going to keep those core components. Because honestly, the more I watch it, I feel like it's maybe the most Star Wars movie, honestly. Yeah. Like it gets Star Wars in a way that a lot of Star Wars movies don't. Like specifically the fact that the last lightsaber fight is completely peaceful. Luke doesn't even swing his lightsaber at all. Like truly like one of the most Jedi things I think I've ever seen in one of these things. So yeah, I don't know. That's a little tirade about Last Jedi because I've been thinking about it a lot recently for some reason. Because
might be good for a Last Jedi edition of a few good movies.
Dude, I'm telling you, Summer of Star Wars, it's coming someday. It's going down the pipeline at some point. Yeah. Maybe next summer. I don't know. Maybe we hold off till the summer after that. But Summer of Star Wars is something I'm pushing for. We will get there at some point to have, because Mathew does not like that movie. So that's going to be one of the more interesting episodes to just like me, him, Ted Upset, maybe you, because I know we brought it up in the Whiplash episode or something like that. Going in on Last Jedi, I am very excited for one day to be happening.
Pretty fun,
because, I mean, it's probably the most controversial movie to come out over the last decade, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely the one with the most discussion, the most discourse. Like, dude, a year after that movie, I was sick of hearing about it. As much as I love it, I was just, can I hear somebody talk about anything other than The Last Jedi, please?
I felt the same way, yeah.
But that it's finally quieted down. Like, we can maybe talk about it with a little distance and not as much vitriol just being thrown around all over the place. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so I think that's it. You got anything else, Fletch? I think we're good.
Not really. I think that pretty much covers it. Thought it was a good episode. I'm excited to see what else they have.
For sure. I'm ready to see what they got these last 3 episodes. We're heading in the home stretch here. Super excited. Fletch, thank you so much for being on the podcast again, twice in 1 week. Gonna be great. If you enjoyed hearing me and Fletch talking about Mandalorian, we just had our episode on Whiplash come out where me, Fletch, and Mathew talked about Whiplash for almost 2 hours. A lot of fun. I'll post the link to that video here. Fletch, where can people find you on the internet, on YouTube, all that good stuff?
You can find me on my own YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Fletcher Williams. I just posted a video on Spider-Man Miles Morales, the new game for PS5, so you can check that out if you want to. Also, I have Twitter, which you could probably find a link for that in the description below.
For sure.
Is able to put that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right, sweet. And yes, we will have all those links down in the description below, his Insta, his Twitter, his YouTube. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. What were your thoughts on this week's Mandalorian? Does it make you more excited for what the future of the show is going to be? Are you still, because I'm feeling a little skeptical right now, but I think we're still heading in a good place. Are you like a little, how'd you feel leaving this episode? It's more to get straight to the point, because I mumbled a little bit there, but would love to hear what you thought of this week's episode of The Mandalorian, Chapter 13, The Jedi. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, which we'll have all our links for down in the description below. And get ready next week, Fincher Week. We got Social Network. We got Mank. Mank is finally dropping on Netflix Friday. I'm so ready for Mank. So get ready. Fincher Week is coming. And we will see you guys next week for that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys later.